I don't want people to think when I'm saying this that I feel like drag kings are going to like tarnish the reputation of RuPaul's drag.
Canceled.
Yes.
It takes a lot of work and a lot of talent to
Yeah.
get. You can't just slap on a wig and be pretty and get 7 million followers on
A
TikTok.
healthy fat person. 'Cause that sounds really shitty.
A mid-size. And put money into their spaceship seat so they can go to Mars.
And then they go to Mars and they explode.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Nice. Okay, well, I'm glad that you're here. I'm starting this, as you can see, this new filming thing, and it's kind of making me a little bit nervous. I don't know why, but I think it's a lot easier when you just do audio because you don't have, you know, your ugly self for people to make fun of. But no, I'm very glad. I'm glad that you invited.
Sure, right.
Yes, make sure our bras are up tight.
Yes.
But I'm glad that you invited Chris, and I'm glad that that happened because when you told me that, I was like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't have mics, and the software that allows me to have 2 mics only allows me to have 2 mics.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of interesting because it's there for people to have multiple mics, but only 2. And I'm like, well, that's good. But I was like, you know what? Once you said that he can be my audience member, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to think of it as like, we're on Wendy Williams.
Yeah.
And then that he's going to be my audience
How
member.
you doing?
Exactly. And so I thought that would be the perfect way just to have him be part of this pod.
Yes. Gotta let him clap for 10 minutes.
I was watching old Wendy Williams compilations and how the audience just like, ooh, ooh, and then she would just like dancing to this. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then she'd like, clap if you think that he should die. And then people were like, yes. So, Chris, I'm going to ask you to clap for some things here and there.
I miss her. It feels like
I
it.
do too. I feel like
feels
she's
like
dead
it.
too. I like when we talk about it in our group chat. I'm always like, rest in peace. She's like alive, but I feel like she's dead, and I do miss her.
Like our dear late auntie,
Yes.
Wendy.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that this topic that I wanted to bring you on is about TV.
Yeah.
And right now in the world, we're having the SAG Actor Guild Award strike. We have the writers on strike, the actors on strike.
Everybody's on
Everyone's
strike.
on strike, UPS on strike.
Mm-hmm.
But you think this will change everything? Like it will.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what you think will change? Because I just have a hard time. Maybe because I'm just very cynical with our
Yeah.
government. Like I always think they're out to get us.
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
Yeah, I don't know.
It is another,
Yeah.
gotcha, poor people.
Yeah. I don't know how I think
Mm-hmm.
it'll change. I just feel like it's really, I mean, what did they say, that this hasn't happened for 60 years or something? And I guess I don't know what happened
Like
the
as
last
in-
time.
Oh yeah, well, last time.
But we were in the same place 60 years ago. Obviously, we didn't have Netflix or streaming or anything like that. So, like, I don't know. I'd be interested to see what they were striking for 60 years ago. But, like, yeah, I don't know. I just think it's, I mean, just some of the stuff that they, like, I'm sure you saw that they, like, one of the studios said something like, we're going to pay, like, a background actor for, like, 1 day of work, and then we're just going to use their likeness forever.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy. And I don't know, like, I was just talking about the other day, like, I just don't understand, like, what the end game is. Because these, like, they've seen where these people end up. Like, Netflix killed Blockbuster. So, like, you have to think that they understand that, like, they can also be killed too.
Yes. Yeah.
If they keep being as greedy. But then, I just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that they want to take someone's likeness and then use it for every movie.
Yes.
For like the rest of their
Yes.
life, even past like Bob Iger can die and they'll still use a person's likeness forever.
Forever
They
and
use
ever and
Bob-
ever.
They should use Bob Iger's likeness.
Yeah.
Like they're never using your likeness. Like why is it our likeness?
Yeah.
You should, if you want to be alive for this long, you should put your likeness up there.
Yes.
And then have it forever. Yeah, I think the hard part for me is I don't know. I guess I'm just naive, and I just don't see why people need to be so greedy. And I just don't get like, you hear these people like Bob and like this Netflix and all that shit that they make so much money.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll see actors. There's this one girl from Orange is the New Black, and she's in like 43 episodes of like the 90s or the 90 episodes that they have. And she got her residuals check and only made $4. And it's just like sad because there's episodes that she's clearly in that she only made 0 cents, and some she made a penny. And it's just like, it's sad because I feel like they're getting slightly paid the same as people who are in jail who work and only get like pennies. And I'm just like, I don't know. It sucks because I just don't know where it's going to go. And that's what's terrifying is I don't know where it's going to go. And you hear people are like, well, I'm going to play the long game and I'm going to wait until you guys like lose your house.
Yeah.
And it's like that. I just want to know, like, how do you wake up at night knowing that you rather have everyone lose their house so you can just be able to have a 12-hour episode show?
Yeah, it's well, and I think one of the biggest things too is one of my friends was talking about this, and she was like, well, I just don't feel like they need to get paid that much more. But I don't think a lot of people realize like how many people like SAG employs and like are part of the union, like stunt people and makeup artists, and
Is it camera crews?
just it's crazy. Like it's a lot of people, and I think a lot of those people like truly get paid dirt for what they do. It's not, the Emma Stones and the Margot Robbies and stuff that like they're, they've got to argue to get paid for their craft too. But it's not just the multi-million-dollar people that are trying to get more money for starring in Barbie. Like, it's everyone.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. That's like, I don't know. I just like, then what are we going to do with all these people? I get that the government is like, it's not our problem that you're broken poor. It's your problem. But it's like, I don't know, because they want to take down Roe versus Wade because then they want people to have babies so then they can constantly have people to work. But then like, where do you want us to work if you're going to continue just to tell us like work for pennies? And then it's just like the coal mines, jail cells, McDonald's. But then McDonald's is moving towards robots anyway. So I don't know. It's just sad. And then UPS is going to strike. Well, are they striking or will they be striking?
They're mad.
So they'll be striking.
Yeah, I mean, I literally just saw it this morning that like they're trying to strike and how detrimental it will be if the UPS workers go on strike. I can't remember if it was in the millions or billions of dollars that it will cost.
I saw like $7 billion.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's like, if they're that important and we value them as being that important to our economy, but then we're going to pay them pennies for what they do is just crackheaded.
Yeah. I saw a TikTok of someone who was a writer, and she said like for the season, however many episodes she got was like $200K, but that was only over the course of like 4 months because that's how when they write. So then she was like, well, the rest of the months I just had to live off of $200K, and then she was like, the next year I was unemployed because my scripts didn't get picked up, or like I didn't get asked to write on a TV show, so then I made $37K. And it's just like, I guess sometimes the entertainment industry is very up and down with like, it's not as consistent as a 9 to 5, but I don't know. I just don't know what the answer is. I would love for our big business heads to give us back our actual government so we can have a structure put in place for things like this, so they can come in and be like, oh no, sorry, you can't just, because I feel like if we do this, let's say like the CEOs move forward and like everyone loses their houses, like I think that would be such a huge impact on us entirely that you can't just have these people just like sitting around. Like we already have a homeless problem. We just have so many other problems that I think if you be like, well, I'm going to wait till Zach is homeless, and then it's just like, I just feel like you're causing so many other problems, and I just don't understand when people say like, oh, it's only 1% of their like income, or the CEO's income is 1%. I just don't understand why that 1% you hold on to it. Like you're probably already giving away some of that in taxes anyway, and you're probably giving away to the girls that you have on your island. So I just don't understand why you can't give it to people who need to live and survive, and who's creating these shows for you.
And I think the craziest thing too is like the money that they're fighting for, they won't even feel in their wealth.
Yeah.
Like it's impossible for them to even like comprehend that type of wealth.
Yeah.
Like they're not. It's not like us where it would be like, oh, we got a bump and now we're making 65K instead of 60.
Exactly.
Like that. They just don't even, they wouldn't even know it.
No, yeah. And that's what pisses me off the most. Because their accountant is probably already stealing the money from them. So it's just like, you clearly don't pay attention to that. I remember I was watching not watching Tyler Perry, but there was an article that Tyler Perry fired his accountant because they missed $8 million. And I'm like, I can't imagine one day, and then you hear like celebrities like Jay-Z or whatever, they're like, you have to audit your team and you have to pay for an audit. I'm like, I can't imagine having enough, like that much money, paying someone whose job it is to help me, like, facilitate all this money. And then I have to audit you to make sure that you're doing your job. It just makes, why as a country can we not just have a system where we just do right by each other?
Yeah.
And I feel like we're just driving ourselves into a bigger hole. And that's another thing. I'm like, do you guys know something we don't know? Like, is the world ending in 2 days where you're just like, I don't give a fuck about you guys anymore?
They're trying to put money into their spaceship seat so they can go to Mars.
And then they go to Mars and they explode. By the time this comes out, hopefully it will be like...
it won't be too soon.
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I pray for them, but yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Clap if you would be a greedy billionaire.
One of you is lying.
Yeah. Well, I would love to talk to you about TV shows in the wake of everything that's going on. And we always sit here like two clucks hidden, cracking at each other. And in college, we used to do this all the time. We'll sit with Ritz crackers and water. And I thought about, we have the water. I thought about bringing Ritz crackers and jelly.
Ritz crackers and some jelly.
But I make cookies, so I thought that would be nice.
we've matured.
Yes, we got more money.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But anywho, so I want to talk to you first about Drag Race. Because I think it's funny because when I told you about my family reunion and then how like my uncle asked my mom like what is one of my favorite sports, and you were like, you should have told her to say Drag Race. I should actually give you an update on that. So my parents came over the other day after the family reunion, and they were like talking about, oh, like your uncle's miss you, blah, blah, blah. And I finally was like, well, did you tell them that I don't watch sports? Like, you've been my mom for 30 years. I know you know that I haven't seen an ounce of sports. And if I do, it's like for the
halftime show.
Halftime show. Exactly. And if I do watch sports, it's tennis, which I feel like in straight world
It's gay.
it's gay. Exactly. It's gay.
Yeah.
And so I was like, just tell them. And then she's like, no, it's your responsibility. You need to tell them. I'm like, is it because you just don't know the answers, so then you just feel like caught on guard? Or is it because you really want me to show up there? But yeah, so I thought, I thought about Drag Race. One thing I've always with Drag Race is, what was I going to say? I will love for there to be a documentary about RuPaul.
Yeah. I can't believe there's not.
I feel like there's not because he's gay. And right now we're trying to take away gay rights. We're trying to keep our trans rights. But I just find it so, and I always tell you, like, I can't believe we watch drag queens compete on like a global stage. And not only have drag races, like drag race is so impactful across the world. There's so many franchises across the world. And it really started by RuPaul. Now, if this was a straight male in a sports that took a sports team like Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods or Tom Brady, then there will be HBO documentaries and we will know about how, like, for example, Michael Jordan, like, really brought up, advertising in sports, Gatorade, all that shit. But then RuPaul is just like, I still feel like straight people as a whole just kind of looks at it as like a cute gay thing over there and doesn't really understand, like, do you get like what this is like the impact that it has on us, and like just like what RuPaul has done for the game of drag is, I
Yeah.
just feel like when is he going to get those flowers and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I remember like growing up, I used to see like RuPaul and the one or two other odd drag queens on like a Maury or something. And I guess I always grew up thinking it was just like honestly something that was kind of like seedy and like a little dirty. And it was like it only happened in like a weird little club
Yeah.
over there. And I feel like I don't know if it's necessarily viewed as like seedy and dirty anymore, but I definitely feel like it's still thought of as like it just happens in this closed little space that is only for these certain people, and it's not really like considered an art form, or like I don't know, I feel like you would see someone, I feel like the vision of like a drag queen is like season 5 Serena Cha Cha, whereas like that's like a baby drag queen
Yes.
now,
Yes.
given what Drag Race has done
Yeah.
to drag. And yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if that's like a good thing.
Yeah, me too. Because it feels like sometimes I wonder if it's a good thing, because like if RuPaul gets his flowers, does that open up the world of drag to more criticism? I'm not saying it's not being criticized now, but like you said, it is still in this little sheltered bubble. And sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe it's cool to be low key. Because sometimes, like, if you're listening to a music artist, right, that you know that's not mainstream, you're like, this is good. But then as soon as they get mainstream, you're like, ooh, something happened. And then you're like, you're not vibing with them the same anymore. Like one of our favorites, Iggy Azalea.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, it is. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Because half of me was like, I want RuPaul to get the flowers that he deserves. I want Drag Race to get the flowers that it deserves. I just wish. I just once again think that straight people just don't see it as how amazing this queer person from wherever he was from,
Right. Yeah.
has now. And one time I was watching an MTV clip of him back in 1993. And he was just in the mall and being RuPaul, with like short shorts on and a giant blonde wig. And they're like, "What is your goal?" And he was like, "I want to take over the world." And then fast forward 30 years later, he really truly has taken over the world. So it is funny that it's in the game of business, and I don't know. I just don't know too, because right now we're, gay people can be discriminated for just walking into a place. So it is kind of a double-edged sword. Like, how far can we go?
Yeah. Well, and I think I think like when I wonder if it's a good or a bad thing, I think about like local girls, and I think about just the level of polish that Drag Race has presented to the world now. And I feel like it has maybe created this like accessibility problem, where like a girl who doesn't look like Gottmik or whatever walking onto the stage in Edina is not going to be taken very seriously by the mommies that watch RuPaul's Drag Race. And I feel bad for that, and it makes me worry about like the culture of that. And
Are you saying you feel bad for like the homegrown drag queens
yeah,
who can't
yeah,
just
the ones
be-
who can't like afford to,
have the makeup? And
yes, the
surgeries
makeup
and the
and
wigs.
yes,
Yeah.
and the wigs and the costumes and everything. Well, I mean, like there was just that video of the girl with the fireworks on her head and it melted her wig and stuff, and it's like I have to I have to think that Drag Race is responsible
that's
for
true.
something
Yes,
like that.
yeah.
Because like they have to do these things to like make these viral moments and to make like these people pay attention to them. And I don't know, like she turned around with half an outfit and
It is true. Yeah, but she looked good on like a quick glance. But then if you kept looking more, it's like
yeah.
Yeah, I do. That is a good point. Like, is it ruining homegrown drag? Like, do drag queens who are not on the show feel pressure to perform a certain type of way because now this show has taken drag? And that's what you always hear too from drag cultures. Like, are you a good drag queen or are you good for
Yes,
drag
are you good for Drag
And
Race?
it's just like, ooh, so are we not getting good drag
Right.
queens? Are we just getting? So what are we doing? Are we just getting people who are good for TV and then using them to promote Drag Race instead of people who are good for drag?
Yeah, I feel like it definitely promotes a certain type of queen and they favor a certain type of queen. And I mean, I feel like if I was a drag queen, I'm sure they just get constantly asked, like, you want to be on Drag Race?
Yeah.
And it feels, I'm sure to them, like, I'm sure there's got to be this feeling of like, I'm not a good enough drag queen if I can't make it on Drag Race.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would just feel really stifling as first and foremost, like a creative artist, like that you're not worthy of our praise if you can't make it onto Drag Race.
Yeah, I get that. So that also brings me to another question. Like, do you think, well, I was going to say, like, one thing I like about RuPaul's Drag Race is I feel like as soon as a queen gets on, like, her career is set. Like, I feel like that's something different with other competitive TV shows. It's like, I don't really see, even like the winner of The Survivor or the winner of The Voice or American Idol, like, I don't see them being as successful as a loser on RuPaul's Drag Race. You know, so perfect about that. I sometimes think about AI and how like people are like, AI is going to take over the world, and like AI is not going to have that sound. So,
no, she's not going to have the straw sound, which is what it was. It was a straw.
Yes.
Wendy Williams fart and burp.
Oh, I love that. Remember when someone thought she farted on TV?
Yes. Well, didn't she do that? She like burped and like farted at the same time.
I felt like I know she burps all the time.
Yeah.
And as someone as a Wendy Williams fan,
it's a matter of time. She's not lonely. I apologize. Oh.
I can do without those burps. I can do without those burps.
Yeah, I know that's not your thing.
No. Yeah, I love that girl. And like I said, I was watching compilations. She was just so. Her old stuff was just so. Grab you by the throat. Just grab you by the throat. And this is like, girl, what did you say? Like, I get it that you're trying to rate his due, but like, can we calm down, please? Oh my goodness. But do you think there's other competition shows that the winners win and they get so much press? Do you think, Chris?
The only one that I can think of that I feel like actually has people like be respected or whatever is Top Chef. I know that Top Chef is like in chef world. If you get on Top Chef, like that means something. If you win Top Chef, that means something.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, I feel like you just go on these shows and now there's so many of them and it's so saturated that like, okay, you're on and like maybe you're going to get 15 minutes.
Maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, Drag Race I think is different because there's so much opportunity for them to perform and clubs and whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's like that is still somewhat limited, you know?
I guess that's a good point. Like if you're on Drag Race, even if like once you get on, you still tour with him. I believe so. And I think that helps when you're going around the world, touring all these clubs, going to these watch parties. As you get eliminated, they invite you to the watch party. So it does continue to keep your name in the realm of things. And then it helps when you have a crackhead fan base that will tear you apart from limb to limb for doing something, you know, whatever. But yeah, I always think about that. I think of all the winners who've gone on and be on Jimmy Fallon and be on magazines and losers who are making makeup companies or have or Netflix TV shows. It's like, I don't ever see that. I haven't yet seen America's Next Top Model actually be America's Next Top Model.
Right. I think it helps too, is like Drag Race is for a specific community, and something like American Idol or America's Got Talent is not like marketed towards any sort of like community. And then I don't know, there's just so like there's singers on TikTok and stuff that I feel like get more people just don't watch TV the same way they used to, and I feel like even now with especially how big Drag Race is, like I think it's even not enough just to get on the show anymore. Like I feel like you have to do something. You have to do something with that time on your show.
Do you think I think it's more of the show doing that. Because I feel like even on the regular season, like not the all-stars, they now have to come with like a talent. And that's like usually the first thing. And in my mind, it's because they have Las Vegas and they have Work the World. So it's like, well, now show us what you can do when we put you on Work the World in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I do think that's kind of, yeah, I mean, yeah, that does, yeah. Because if you're, I guess the whole point of regular Drag Race, because there's so many franchises, right? So I see regular as like their first season.
Yeah.
Is to really show you that you can be a drag queen when you get the backing. Now it's like, you gotta show us that you're worth the investment. It's like, well, what happened to me just coming up here and like wearing my mall stuff and like,
wearing my jeans,
my, Wet Seal makeup, whatever that brand is. And now it's like I have to have my own Anastasia Beverly Hills endorsement.
Yeah, you like have to
something.
have a brand to like really make an impact
Like Sugar
anymore.
and
It feels
Spice.
like yes.
I like. Do you think that moving forward we're going to have more? I guess we're always going to have more social media queens.
Yeah,
I feel like we're going to run into a spot where we're not going to have true, authentic club queens. Like queens that just didn't know Drag Race because of YouTube or TikTok.
Right. Yeah, I think it's interesting that like as Drag Race goes on, it gets more self-referential in its jokes and like it's almost like hard. I don't feel like as a new fan you could like start watching like Drag Race season 15 and feel like really included because it's just so like so many of the jokes are
That's
like
true.
you have to understand the universe to get what's going on. But yeah, I do think it's interesting because I feel like in the old seasons you had this sort of like pageant versus club sort of rivalry, and now I feel like with 15 especially you're getting this sort of like club queen versus online queen sort of rivalry, and I guess it's kind of an interesting new like what makes a drag queen sort of question, because you can't say that just because Sugar and Spice haven't performed in a club that they're not drag queens.
Yeah.
But I can understand feeling like coming up in the club scene. I know myself and I know the sort of attitude that I could get. And like, I feel like I would be someone who would see one of these online queens and be a little bitter and be a little jealous that like they put makeup on in their cute little mansion and have 7 million TikTok followers. And I'm like pulling $300 in ones at a club.
But I do think sometimes the show is still built to really call that out or like expose that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we all thought Sugar and Spice was going to be like the first ones out. And they kind of were. Sugar Rose. But do you think that kind of goes like that reminds me of Jimbo, because Jimbo can't win a lip sync.
Right.
And I don't know, do you feel like when you were saying like some drag queens are coming up on social media and all they do is just put makeup on and a wig on and a transition and that's a drag queen, and I get it, not every drag queen can do a kick split in lip sync, but I don't know, does that mean the show needs to be more open to the different diverse drag queens? Or if you come on RuPaul's Drag Race, you're now in a space where it's not about if you can be a drag queen, it's about can you be a
performer?
Yeah, can you be a performer?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think that the point of Drag Race is to showcase every kind of drag.
Yeah.
And whether the club queens or whatever like it or not, like Sugar and Spice are drag queens and they are moving, our history as queer people forward with their performances. And so I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's interesting, and I think it takes a lot of work and a lot of talent to get. You can't just slap on a wig and be pretty and get 7 million followers on TikTok. Like that's not how it works.
No. I would love to be in drag, but I don't want to put myself in drag because I don't want to be busted.
Yes.
I want someone to do. Even when like I was watching Sibling Rivalry because Monet was on the secret drag show when they kind of like The Mask, but for drag queens. And she's like, I didn't put anyone in makeup. Like they hire people to put, you know, people in makeup. And I want one of those. But do you think that Drag Race should be more inclusive? Because you're saying it should be inclusive, like, of different types of drag. Do you think drag kings should be in Drag Race?
I would love to see that. I don't know how they would have to change the structure. I don't know if they would at all.
Yeah.
I think that the judges would definitely have to change their mindsets, and I don't think that they're willing to or able to do that yet. But I think that it would be really cool to see drag kings in the competition, and I think that it would be nice to, if they did that, do it more than just like having the one token come in and come on, and be like our first drag king, and that's the only one on the whole season, and they go
like
home
Victoria's
third.
Scone or-
Yes. And yeah, I just don't know, because when I think about the challenges and stuff, like, it's not, a lot of those challenges are not about like being a queen. It's just about being a performer, and comedy and acting and fashion, and all of those things can be done in a masculine way too. So I think something interesting about RuPaul is she's old.
Yes, I was going to say that. If you were going to say it, I was going to say it.
Like, it's going to take her time. And it is interesting that, like, such a progressive community seems to move so slowly on, like, a corporate front.
Do you think it's a corporate? Do you think... See, I guess what I was going to say is, do you think it's like a corporate thing? But I also think it slightly might be because RuPaul just comes from a different era of drag. And I do like the drag where it's a male presenting person transforming into a female presenting person. I think that, to me, from that transition is more dynamic than
a
drag
female
king.
presenting person into...
I think there's more you can go when you're trying to transition to female versus when you're trying to transition to a male. And I think that has nothing to do with Drag Race. It has everything to do with our society, how we live it, how we express how men can be. I don't know. I would love for it to be separate, though. I just don't know if... maybe with me, I think it's because it's so hard for me to see how diverse drag queens or drag kings can be. Then that's where my hang up is like, it's not that I don't want you there, is that I'm just so used to the stamp of RuPaul's Drag Race. I don't want people to think when I'm saying this that I feel like drag kings are going to like tarnish the reputation of RuPaul's Drag.
Canceled.
But it's just speak on my ignorance of, we're not exposed to drag kings, and if we are here, you know, they're the ones that, you know, might not have the means to be the best drag king that they want to be. And so I just feel like there's a level of gap between where RuPaul is and bringing drag kings there. And I like this. There's some show with Go-Go Boys, and they're like trying to be like the America's Next Top Go-Go Boy. And maybe someone can... Maybe RuPaul can just make us... I mean, he has 800 spinoffs. Just make a spinoff for all kings.
I think that would be the fairest way to do it too, because then you're not going to have that bias with the judges constantly favoring the queen side of things. But I think, you know, it is interesting that you say that we don't see drag kings that much. And so I was thinking about like the last time I saw a drag king, and I kind of think that's where like part of the corporate side comes into things, is like we don't see them that often, and they know that. And so I feel like they understand that that's something that like the general public is kind of like, I don't want to say weirded out by, but like that they're just not familiar with. So putting it on a TV screen to make money is not the best choice. Cause like, I don't know, when we go to drag brunches, there's no drag kings there.
If
When
there
we
is,
go,
it's like one.
yeah,
This is like one.
Yes, when we go to flip phone.
Yeah.
The flip phone
Was there a flip
events. There's
phone?
no drag
The
kings.
one that we went to Pride, was there a drag king? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
But like when I go to smaller, like truly like hosted by local things, like when we go to
Yes.
Lush,
Yeah.
or like when we've gone to Blackheart, like that's where I see the drag kings, and it's not like just the one.
Yeah.
It's like a couple.
Yeah.
They're like I'm thinking of at least a couple off the top of my head, but they're, you know, and they're good. They're fun performers. And like they've got a lot of energy and they're fun to watch, and I think that they would be really fun to watch on television too. But yeah, I think like what you said, we're just not familiar with them, so they're not going to take that chance to throw them on TV.
Yeah. When I was watching last night's episode, you know, one thing I love to just like play a game of, if I don't see RuPaul laughing, but I hear it, it's not him. It's not him. Like when sometimes like you like during the talent show or whatever, or a comedy show, you would hear RuPaul laughing, but you don't see him laughing. And I'm like,
they slip
he's
that
not-
in.
They slip it in.
Well, they do that so much to like guide the way we're supposed to feel
Yes,
about something.
yeah.
Like there will be times where like something is like truly funny to me, and they'll like cut to like a Michelle being like snarky face, and I'm like, bitch, that was funny.
Yeah.
Like stop trying to make me think that was not funny because it was.
Yeah.
So that always like those little editing things piss me off.
Yes.
When like somebody says something so stupid and it's not funny, and RuPaul is just pissing herself
Yes,
laughing,
yeah.
and I'm like, just stop with this.
I want to know, like, is she truly, like, has a business got to her now where she can turn on, like, when we're in Snatch Game, right? And sometimes we're having a weak Snatch Game. And RuPaul is like hackling, clack. And I'm like, are you just doing this because you're so used to producing a show? Like when you go home to your husband, do you remember the names?
Yeah.
Like, do you just like, I know he has an earpiece and being like, this is Jinx.
Yeah.
You love her. And so then he laughs extra hard.
Yeah. It would be interesting to actually like go see like clips of like her laughing, because I think there are times where like it is genuine. Like I think like when Utica did her like face journey, like I think that was
The
like
weed
some
one?
of the most
Yeah.
I think that was like truly genuine.
You ever smoked weed before? Oh my God.
So I feel like it'd be interesting to compare like that to other
Yeah.
times and like try and see where she's like turning it on versus when she's like truly laughing. But she also gives me like someone who it's not that hard to make laugh. Like I think
said that on the show.
Yeah.
I like go into this wanting to laugh.
Yeah.
It's a Snatch Game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like, if
Yeah.
you make me laugh, I will go along with you.
Yeah.
like I don't like I saw the clip of her introducing Anitra's Snatch Game character.
What was Anitra? What was Anitra?
Jordana Ramsey or something.
Oh, yeah.
She just like made up the
Yeah,
character,
yeah,
and like
yeah.
RuPaul loves
Yes.
the absurd
Yes.
and the stupid,
Yeah.
and like that's so stupid. Like
yeah.
this like his like American sister, Gordon Ramsay's American sister, is like such a dumb idea, but it's like
There are times when he laughs, like especially like the roast, and you know, I guess RuPaul loves like not PC roast, you know, because he'll be
Yeah.
look at Michelle like, can we air this? And that's when I know it's like real authentic, when you get RuPaul out of the frame of like staring straight on, and he's like, oh, let me get to my bad angles.
yes.
Is there anything that you hate about like Drag Race? I know a lot of people hate the like everything's always the same, and it's getting so like spread out. Like there's so many seasons now. I think for me, I want to see more husky men. I think on the pit crew, And I know this is also going to be controversial because I know a lot of people don't like fat people. You know what I mean? So I will
Yes.
meet them in the middle where I don't want to say a healthy fat person because that sounds like that sounds really shitty.
A mid-size.
But like one of those bears, you know, the bears who are like in the
Yes.
fat bear community,
Yes.
but like
Who's still like itty bitty titty
Yes,
committee?
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yeah.
A chubby.
a chubby
person.
Because we had one in UK or Canada. They brought one of the like, a chubby
Yes.
person.
Yes.
Espana has
Has a
Yes,
yes.
yes.
very attractive.
Exactly. So I'm just like, why can't America get on? And that's why I'm saying I'm trying to meet America halfway because I understand how Americans can be with like what we present physically and sexy on TV. So that's why I said like maybe a mid-size,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
a crossover.
Yes.
But I'm ready. And like Bruno, I'm ready. Like as much as I love Bruno, I think Bruno is straight. I thought he's
Yeah.
married. So I don't know. I'm also, if he is straight, I'm also ready for us to stop relapsing
that.
over straight men, and like
Yeah.
we can easily get another Bruno.
Queers.
Exactly, they're like, skinny, needing like if they
Yes.
really want to like save some money, they can cut Bruno and get someone for pennies or for free. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm ready. I'm ready for Pit Stop to get more diverse.
Yeah. I think that what has been noticeable about recent seasons is the sort of like family friendlyification of the show.
Yeah.
Like when on All Stars when they were doing the like the TV commercials or whatever, and Michelle was like beside herself with how raunchy Jimbo and Jessica and Candy were being. And one, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Two, it's going on Paramount where like you don't even have to worry about the censors. So like it's just like this weird like prudish behavior that like feels like it doesn't belong.
Yes.
And it feels like so forced.
Yeah.
Cause like
Because we know, like Michelle, who are you?
yes.
Like, who are you to tell us to not be provocative?
Like we're always talking about how big and gaping Michelle Visage's vagina is. Like,
Exactly.
why are we
Exactly.
all of a sudden drawing a line
Yes.
at giving a fake blowjob?
Yes, I agree. Especially when one thing I was noticing about the talent show is like all these girls come in with these prosthetic titties, especially like Jimbo. And you watch the talent show, and Jimbo has the whipped cream coming out of their
Yes.
titties, and they did not shy away from that. They didn't change any angles. When James Manfield's like, "I got these,"
Yeah, I got these.
and then who's the one Hispanic girl? Not Jessica, but the other
Jara
one
Sofia.
who was bouncing that way.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
we don't shy, and I always think about that too because that's the thing that gay community get is that we're too sexual. We sexualize everything, but yet in the same on the same breath, I know like one of my good friends watches Drag Race with her son, so I'm like, it's such a weird thing to be like, so are we sexualizing children? Are we not, or not children, but are we too sexual for children? But then you have, you see, you go to DragCon, or you don't go to DragCon, but you see people at DragCon bringing their kids.
Yeah.
But then you also see drag queens who have these ginormous fake breasts.
Yeah.
And
big ol'
then,
bouncy
like, when Jimbo
titties.
came on the first season, everyone was like, this is raunchy. But then when he squirts whipped cream out the titties, we're like, this is so fun.
Yeah.
And puts a cherry out her vagina. And we're like, yes.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's hard. I think that even they don't know the answer.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of where I would think like I think it's really tricky because you want this community to be accessible to everyone. And this is Drag Race is really like the only mainstream access to drag that everybody in the country has. And so it's like where like are we responsible for toning it down a little bit or not?
Yeah.
I lean towards not.
I lean towards not.
Because like I don't know, if you're like
We don't
watching it with your kid, then
Yeah.
you should be able to have conversations with your kid
Exactly.
about like not everybody's going to be bouncing their titties around, and that's what they do on the stage, and we don't talk like that every day to people. So like I feel like I feel like we should put the responsibility on the parents to make sure that they're having conversation with their kids.
Yeah.
I don't think that the responsibility should yet again be put on us to kidify our culture.
Yeah. I was gonna say we don't go to KKK spaces and be like, "This is too racist. Can you please calm it down? Like, can you?"
There
please stop
might be a
wearing-"
black person that wants to be here, so if you
You're
could
not being
calm it
inclusive.
down.
Yes, yes. My last question about RuPaul's Drag Race is: there's a talk about him retiring. Do you want Can you see? In the beginning, I was gonna say, can you see RuPaul, like the franchise, moving without him? I think I can personally, because we've seen Canada, we have Mexico. I think every other European franchise, I have no idea who the head coach is or whoever the person is, and so I think it does well. Which once again goes all the way back to the impact that RuPaul has, that he can literally leave the show and still carry on. But if you think he should leave, who do you think should replace him?
I don't know. It's so tricky because I feel like sometimes I feel like RuPaul would rather just the show end before she handed it over to it. Because, like, she never has another drag queen on the panel. Like, T.S. Madison has been the closest that RuPaul has ever come to, like, allowing anything other than, like, a queer man on the panel. And so, I don't know. I think that it would be really hard for her to give it up. So sometimes I feel like she would step down from, like, maybe doing an All-Stars, or step down from like UK and Down Under before she would step away from the main series. But I don't know.
Let's ask the audience. Audience, who do you think should replace RuPaul?
If I had to say, I mean, I think that it would make sense to do a queen from the show. Like, I think that would make sense.
Yeah.
The people that I immediately go to would be like a Bob. Like, I think Bob would be great. Bob's a
Bob's the drag
fantastic
queen.
host, very hilarious. And that would, I mean, honestly, probably be my first pick. I mean, I know that, like, Trixie Mattel is, like, super popular and all of those things, but, like, I don't know if Trixie is, like, the best host for Drag Race.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be somebody that the show would gravitate to because she is so big.
I also just don't know Trixie. I just don't know if she wants it. Like with Bob or someone else, I feel like they will really enjoy waking up every day to do this show.
Yeah.
I feel like no shade, no tea to Trixie. I just feel like eventually it was shown on her face that we're here just to do a show.
Yeah, I think what's special about Trixie is, like, you know that she still loves Drag Race, but she's self-aware enough to know that, like, she hated both of her experiences and that she doesn't want to do it again. But it's nice that she still, like, knows where she came from. I think that Bob would be a fun choice. I think you need someone to, when I think of Bob as, like, sort of, she's not, like, super niche. Like, she has, like, she's obviously, like, has some really cool looks, and she's got a very specific, like, comedy style, but she's not someone who has, like, I don't know, when I think of Bob, I don't think of, like, one particular type of thing. She just is, like, kind of this universal sort of, like, funny, pretty, really talented at hosting queen.
When I think of Bob, I think more well-rounded.
Yes,
I think
that's
she
a good
came
word
from an
for it.
era of drag where you really had to be 100% well-rounded. Not, I guess, kind of saying that now we're getting to these newer seasons. You don't have to be as well-rounded. You can probably be like a jack of, like, two trades and make it.
Yeah.
Versus, Bob, like, her runways weren't that great, but, like, now they're great because she has the money. But she was, that was a time where you came on the show, in my opinion, you came on the show and be like, with the right money or in the backing, I can be this person. And I think if we move forward, I always think about this too, and I think of Bob too, but I just feel like if it's Bob, then I think no matter who you put, people are going to have a problem with it.
Yeah.
So I think we need to erase the entire hosting or whoever the judging panel and put 3. Put actual 3, like 3 girls from RuPaul.
Oh,
And put
okay.
like maybe like Bob could be one, and then Raven could be one because she's good with makeup, and then we can do. I'm just saying Raja because it's the first one that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Because she's good with fashion. So that way we have a judge that has maybe their thing, and it can give more of a well-rounded perspective versus, you know, Ross Matthews making a joke of how he's a baby bottom and like tying it to his critique of whatever, because we already know that this queen is going to win anyway, so we're just here for the ride.
Yeah. That would be interesting to have more of like a panel of sorts. Yeah, I think that could work. I think that could be really cool.
And especially like, I don't know, having them bring in their actual expertise into the show and like actually kind of like give real critique and real mentorship to like up and coming queens. I think would be a good place for the show to go.
So you're saying not Katya? If you want someone to give advice, not Katya.
Katya's gonna come in and do whatever she wants, and she's just gonna roll around and be hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was so funny when I was to what they were doing.
No, they did not.
Yeah.
What are some other your favorite TV shows? Like, do you have any moments, memories that you love? I know we talk about it all the time.
Of like shows we've watched.
Just shows
together.
you watch, because I know you grew up watching them with your mom, so you have shows like that.
Yeah, I mean, The Housewives, I grew up watching.
Yeah.
But you had your own journey
I
with.
did, yeah. I was like at this was it the bonfire? I don't know. I was around straight people. And especially when you're around the women and you're trying to bond over reality TV shows. And then as soon as they get the little glitter of you, they're like, do you watch The Housewives? Yeah. And I remember the one time I was at somewhere with straight people and they're like, do you watch Housewives? And I was like, I actually don't. And then they like, you can tell they didn't have anything else to talk about. Yes.
Boo.
Exactly.
It's chocolate.
Yeah. Yes. But now that I have watched all of
Atlanta,
I can now be like, I've watched some Drag Race.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Housewives.
Housewives. Yeah, thank you. Housewives. I love Housewives. What do you think? Why do you think people love Housewives? What is it? Is it because I would say from like a Black perspective, some of us hate Housewives because once again it shows Black women fighting and being catty and being like ratchet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then you get, Orange County and whatever her name is, Gretchen and whatever Vicky, they're
doing
crazy,
the same stuff.
Doing the same shit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that people like Housewives because it's sort of this like glamour porn and it's sort of this like I feel like it's sort of one of those like they're just like us sort of people where like they have this really glamorous life that everyone aspires to, but like they fight and it's stupid.
They're on Ozempic.
Yes, they're on Ozempic.
The host
they're
is doing cocaine.
yes,
allegedly.
yes,
In my
and tweaking titties.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's just like this view into like a lifestyle that everyone covets, but then there's sort of this like interesting like wow, they're like I don't know, I watch Housewives and I'm like none of them are happy. Like they're so rich.
Yeah.
And wouldn't that be such a cute life?
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh my God. Like half of them are in these just like lifeless marriages. They seem like I don't know, they just so many of them just don't seem like genuinely happy.
Yeah.
And so I think it's kind of this interesting like almost this like gotcha of like they're rich but they hate themselves.
They hate themselves. And like I said, they're doing Ozempics. They're all like talking about how they're on Ozempic. They're skinny. They have makeup teams. They have surgery. Maybe it's just the world of Hollywood. Like, one thing I'm learning about just doing this podcast is just like there's a lot of pretending. Everything has to look good. It doesn't have to be good. You just have to look good. And I think with Housewives is they're looking good, but and it makes us want it.
Yeah.
But then when we actually peel back the curtain. And like, you never really see them wake up right away in the morning, and that's the
Right.
real truth. Like, how do you look when you wake up in the morning? Like, do you have a lazy eye?
Yeah.
That you fix with some eyelashes and some eyeliner, some cracked lips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it, and like Chris and I sort of recently went back and watched like the very, very first season of Orange County, which was like Housewives before it was Housewives. And like, it's a little boring. There's not that much drama. They don't really interact that much because like it was created to be like a look behind the gated communities in Orange County, and like it was supposed to be like a real life lifestyles of the rich and famous sort of, and then it slowly evolved into what it is now. And so it is interesting that it never started with the intentions of it being this like big dramatic, like almost like soap opera like thing.
What are your views on Nene?
That's complicated.
Clap if you think Nene's annoying.
I there's like,
Because she like is arguably the one that not started it, but put it on the map.
yeah, I
like,
mean,
she's
she
the
is
most memeable
truly
now.
like, she is, Nene really feels like this like tragic character in history to me, because she like, she is like the reason that Atlanta was what it was. Like, it was the at the time the most watched Housewives. Like, they were pulling in like 4 million viewers, which is like unheard of now, sometimes even for network shows. But I don't know, I think that she got way too big for her britches, and I think that she let the fact that she put Housewives and Bravo on the map to her head. And I feel bad because, there's a real person there, and there's somebody who like had a really hard life, and I think was really inspirational to a lot of women. And then I don't know, she just got so nasty, and so she got so nasty and so rude.
So rude. I mimic everything that you said. I think she just it's so sad too, because she is so good for that show. Like, I can see her just sitting on it and just collecting her coins, and then maybe doing other reality shows if the contract allows her, whatever, because she's on like College Hill, and now she's like in music videos with upcoming rappers, and it's I don't know, but the fans miss her, because to be honest, like, it has not really truly been the same since she has left.
It hasn't.
And I mean, Candy's doing a really great job of holding it down.
Well, because Candy just sat there and ate her food. Like, she did what Nene could have done, and just wrote out the times where she was the most famous and had her other gigs, but still come back to like her home. She wouldn't have even had to stir anything up. She would have just had to make her little comments every now and then. Like, Bravo never would have gotten rid of her.
Candy?
Like,
Nene.
Like, there's like no...
There's no reason.
I mean, I guess because she did leave at one point. I can't remember if Bravo fired her or if she actually left. But like, I don't know. I don't think that Bravo ever would have fired her. So...
Yeah. Who do you do out of reality stars? Who do you think is more famous, Nene or Tiffany Pollard? All right, I don't even know if famous is the right word, y'all, because I feel like Tiffany Pollard had her time, but so I guess more impactful. Because both of them,
I feel like Nene is more impactful just because she had more opportunity to have moments, and like, we followed Nene's real life, on a television show. But like, we've never gotten to follow Tiffany like in anything that wasn't like a competition series or like some sort of themed show. And so I think that I think that Nene is still seen as more of like a real person,
Yeah.
whereas Tiffany is seen as more of like a character.
That's a good way of putting it, because I feel like every time I see Tiffany, it is her from Flavor of Love. It's like
Yeah.
that character.
Yes.
And I would love for her. I remember she used to do. There used to be a show before Karama was on was on Queer Eye, and Claudia wasn't on something. They did some show. And then Claudia's like, "You're not even crying." She's like, "I'm crying on the inside." I don't know if anyone remembers where that's from, but
I like vaguely remember that.
Yes.
It was like, was it like for like sort of like C-listy like sort of people?
Yes, yeah. And they try to do some reality
Yes.
show off of that, but then it was just like,
Yes.
it's Tiffany, or it's New York,
It's
and I
New
want
York. Yeah.
Tiffany. I wanted her to grow and like
Yeah.
And I love that she had some show on VH1 where she sat down and like in small cafes and like talked to people.
Yes, I
which
remember
really
that.
Enjoyed.
Yes.
But I don't know what happened to
Yeah.
that.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she was I would be really interested to see like what she would be like on a reality show where she had to be herself. And I think what's hard with a lot of reality TV now is like you're like always playing a character
Yeah.
now. Like you
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're boring. So I think that's hard, and I wonder after the like 20 years almost of her being New York,
Yeah.
I wonder if being in front of a camera would even like allow her
Yeah.
to be
that, yeah.
authentically herself.
One thing I was also thinking about this is we love our dating reality TV shows like Love Island. I like Perfect Match. There's like Bachelorette. I don't really watch.
Yeah.
They're now doing like the Golden Bachelor.
I saw that.
So it's basically older.
It's
I'm just
old
like
man.
50 plus. Let's just say, or like maybe 40 plus. I don't really know what they call Golden.
Yeah,
Like a fox.
he's
Yeah, silver
probably
fox.
like a barely graying, like
Yes.
47-year-old CEO.
With the Botox.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is, I find interesting. So then it brings me a question of, are we ever going to get a gay one? Because I am so sick and tired of just seeing these straight people
I know.
constantly just be in love. And it's like the same story. And I know I just said I watched RuPaul's the same, format. But I guess because when you're gay, it's like you want to see your people, like, Are You the One, when they did like the pansexual season.
Yes,
like,
that
it was
was
a hot ass mess. Like,
Yes.
that's what I love my reality
Yes.
TV shows to be, a hot ass mess. And I just feel like we're not. Where is the hot ass mess in reality? Like I like
know.
watching The Challenge and like seeing how they would just, now that I'm grown, I now know what drunk looks like.
Yes.
And so now I know all the famous fights are because
they are
wasted.
gone.
Yes. And I miss that. And there was a show, or Johnny Bananas was on something, and they talked about like what happened. He was like, back in the day, they gave him a budget of like, let's say $5,000 that they had to spend on alcohol. So they had to go out and spend it. Now they give him drink tickets. And I'm just like, I think I just miss, I know it's bad to say, but I just miss the fights. I
do
miss the
too.
sex. I miss the crudeness.
Yeah.
I miss the cuntness.
Yes.
And I miss the nerve.
Very kind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
It's too much charisma and it's too much low T.
It's it's just like I don't know. It feels like so much stuff has gone this like sort of, we need to be family friendly, we need to be PC, we need to make sure that like Twitter doesn't get mad at us, sort of route. And it's so like everything's just so sanitized.
It is.
And it just, I don't know, it just feels like there's not like a breath of life in anything anymore. It just feels like everyone is trying to like gain fans and gain followers, and it's exhausting, and it's not fun to watch anymore. It's not fun. Like I feel like it's just so like nothing is real anymore.
Yes.
It's just
I feel
very
like real life is
masked.
more entertaining than reality.
Yes. Yeah.
Because, like you said, reality is now trying to be kid friendly, I guess. Like, what is that fake Real World on MT or Netflix? Like 20 somethings. Yeah. It's like these 20 somethings like trying to whatever. Basically, Real World, where most restrictions.
Yeah, but cute.
But cute. And they're like, trying to have relations and they hide the camera, and as perverted and sick as it sounds, like, stop hiding the camera. This is what I come here to
Yes,
see.
like people,
This is
like
what I
when we
wanna
used
see.
to move the curtain aside
Yes,
so that we
yes.
could see them banging in the
curtain.
dark room.
When they tried to use the curtain
Yes.
for a door,
Yes.
the cameraman was just
Yes, I
miss
miss
that.
that.
I was one of my favorite moments is I had to remember it because I'm rewatching the challenge, but CT when he got into that massive fight with Adam,
Yes.
and tried to throw his face. He
tried to kill him.
Tried to kill him. Yes, he basically yes. And I don't know. So watching the challenge on MTV and CT, a character on the challenge who's like this Boston guy who's basically a Boston hood rat, basically, in a way, who's just really tall and could play a good play a really good position on football. I obviously don't know which one he could play, but he's a big guy, and he gets into a lot of fights usually right away. And usually when you watch them, it's with smaller guys and or gay guys. And I'm just like, oh, and it's also really sad because I used to love that. Like as not a closeted gay because I didn't know I was gay at that time. But as a gay, a forming gay, I'm like, yes, I love the straight guy that beats up on us.
Mush me, daddy.
Yes. And now I'm like, oh, why did it? It makes sense though.
Yeah.
Like, that's why. But now Zach is like, he's like a himbo, like a
Yes.
what we call a
Yes.
himbo now. And I love Zach, even though low key I think he with Frank. a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit.
Oh yeah. Well, there's rumors that CT was doing that kind of stuff
With Frank?
too. Not with Frank. With I don't remember. Somebody.
Hopefully not Davis. Shane.
It might have been
Maybe.
Shane. I think it was Shane. I think there were. Well,
Like-
because Davis was the one that he punched out because
Yes.
he was gay.
Yes.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Because
Can you-
one thing I hate though is like there are so many cameras, but they never have the moments like that. They never have the moments where allegedly CT was like, "Can you take a punch?" and Dave was like, "I guess," and then rocked his shit. And they don't have that footage somehow. But when someone sneaks away to go get their dick sucked, they got that footage.
But back to reality TV being
Yes.
sanitized, you couldn't even find that episode.
No, that's
Right?
very
It's
true.
not even on.
No, it's not. Which I guess in their defense, I mean I did find it somewhere through the internet, and I mean it was a lot. Like he was chasing Adam, who
Yes.
was already bleeding,
Yeah,
and
just,
like I
like,
guess
his
like for people
face
who
is
Adam
falling
is
off.
like what 5'6" and like 160 soaking wet, like
Yes.
very scrawny, and they also don't because I rewatched all the Real World. They don't have CT season on there. And that is where their relationship started because they were roommates, and even on Real World, I guess they were Paris. They were fighting, so they've always been at odds with each other since they met. But this one, when he just punched him dead in the face, and then they
Yes.
cornered him, CT, and then he just turned around and punched a hole in the door and ripped the door down because you know those sets are made out of nothing. So
Yes.
you can hear.
Yes. Out of plywood.
And then chase him, and then they had all the security guard. They had all. First of all, they had all the guys. Like they had Mark there, the older one. They had Kenny before, you know, and then
The
Evan
toothbrush.
before the toothbrush, right? So you have all these guys who are basically the same size as CT, holding him back, but can't. Then you get production. Then you get security. Then you get DM, who's his damsel in distress girlfriend, and like. Yes, and then at the end he's like, "This is what you wanted. You broke up with me," and I'm like, "Oh my
Oh
god!"
my God.
Like I'm yeah. That's another reason why I need more gays. Like I just need more gays. I will love a whole. Who's the gay from Real World San Diego? No, the one that came from Johnny Banana season.
Tyler.
Tyler. I need more of those. I need more
Yes.
Tyler and Svetlanas mixed around in the
Yes.
group. I just
Yes.
need more of that. Chris, do you have any favorite TV moments?
Oh gosh,
Any TV shows you watch? You never watched Touched by Angel, did you?
I absolutely
You watched Touched by Angel. I love Touched by Angel. Yes. Yeah. When every time they save an angel, they like let go of like a little thing and a dove goes. I love a Touched by Angel.
I mean, I think some of my favorite like reality TV show moments are from like early reality show days, like early top model stuff.
Yes.
Which now,
Yeah.
looking back on it, I'm just like horrified.
Yes.
And Zach and I have talked about this, where like we would see these girls on there and they were like 20.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Like, now
Yes.
you look at them and you're like, oh my God,
Yes.
babies.
God,
What
we're
were we doing
tiny.
to you?
And that's a show, America's Next Top Model, where it got me because I was like, this girl, like, of course models are dangling from the ceiling and walking
Yeah,
into
totally,
fancy.
yeah.
Of course they're wearing high heels and a bubble and walking on water. Like, this
yeah.
is obviously avant-garde.
Yes, this
And
is
then, like,
modeling.
this is modeling. Of course you're going to put a white woman in blackface because it's like International Day or something like that. Or a got milk goddamn commercial.
Or like when they dressed the girl up as an elephant.
Yes.
And
she was fat. Well,
yes,
not fat,
because
but
she
just
because
had-
they said she was
Yeah, she
fat,
was
and they
fat,
did
yeah.
that whole the one girl had the
Yes.
interview where she was like, we were at the buffet,
Yeah.
and Kenya grabbed an extra slice of bread,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, why is she doing
Yeah.
that? Because she's gaining so much weight. And then they literally clowned her in front of the entire panel and showed her unretouched photo.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there like I was a chubby little
Yes.
fat little boy, and I was like, ugh,
Yes.
like look at how big she's
Yeah.
getting.
Yeah. And they made her cover her little pooch. Like, I remember
Yes.
the photographer was like, cover
Yeah.
her pooch.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally remember that. That is just so sad. God, like Tyra Banks now is getting a resurgence because of her show, like the Tyra Banks show when she had gays in the audience. And she's like, clap if you're straight, and then people clap. Clap if you're gay, and then people clap. And clap if you're
You're
bisexual.
bisexual, and it's like 4 people.
yeah. It's like, didn't she say that they were like
Crickets.
confused or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or when
Probably.
she was in her fat suit.
Yes.
And
She was in a fat suit?
Yeah,
Yes, she was.
She, like,
She was.
would do her like out on the street.
Yes.
Like no one knows it's Tyra.
Yes.
It's like Tyra
Yes.
runs around in
Yes.
a fat suit from Shallow Hal.
Yeah. Was it
Crying about how no one talked to her. or
Yes.
whatever.
Didn't she play homeless? Like she was like
Yeah.
pretending to be homeless? Yeah. See, that's what we need. Like we need that. Like that crack-headed ass mess. Because to me, like I didn't think it was a mess. And then there was a clip of her like interviewing Beyonce, and they're like, "This is why Beyonce doesn't do interviews anymore," because she kept like mixing Beyonce's name with like "seance." What's something that you say every day? Or like dream on say. What's something that you dream about? Like it was just like
That is so
funny.
Tyra Banks.
It is. And then when she lost weight, she's like, "This is the most important thing that I did to lose weight." And she pulls out a pen out of her pocket, and she's like, "I just wrote down everything that I ate. I wrote down everything at the time and day, and I lost so much weight." Oh, I used to love when she used to play dead. She used to pretend she got bit by rabies. Like, oh my gosh.
I
Such good
still
shit.
like one of the things that goes through my head constantly is after that girl fainted on Top Model
Yes.
and she came back, like in my mind so many times I'll say, raise your hand if you were scared.
Yes, yes.
And then
was
she
scared.
raises her hand.
I was
I was
scared. Yes. I was scared too. Yeah. So,
Flash.
That reminds me. Did you ever watch an HGTV, like HGTV Design Star? at
Yes.
all? Okay.
Yes.
And season
Design
one, Sparkle
Star.
Josh?
Yeah, was that the Asian guy?
No.
Oh.
No.
Sparkle Josh?
had like really long blonde hair and was like very, very flamboyantly gay. Like,
I have not seen that.
like what's his name on Queer Eye?
Carson.
Carson.
Not even Carson.
Jonathan Van Ness.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan Menace. Like before he was a thing, like
Yeah.
that was Sparkle Josh, and that was like my household's favorite person
Yes.
on Design Star
Yes.
was Sparkle Josh.
Yeah.
Flaming homosexual.
Yeah.
There I am, like terrified. of
Exactly,
those women.
exactly.
It's like,
Exactly. And you're watching Will and Grace and you have Jack going through the door. I'm like, "Ah, yes. And then you have your parents being like, I remember my mom trying to watch RuPaul's Drag Race for the first time. And first of all, I showed her the original, like the American season. And she was like, where's the good girls? And I'm like, what? And she was like, why don't they look like RuPaul? And I'm like, she's so used to seeing RuPaul
Yeah.
being like RuPaul, like the gold
Polished.
star.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, girl, like we gotta go. And at this time, there was no all queens,
Right,
And so
right,
I
right.
could have showed her all queens, but it was just so funny for a religious woman
yeah.
who was like very like we never talk about gay things in the household, but yet where are the good drag queens? Why don't they look like RuPaul when they're on Ellen? I'm like, oh my god, it's so funny. Like the religious people like getting their picture of gayness from the most flamboyant stereotypes of gay, and somehow that's okay with them, I guess. I really honestly don't know how they can digest that. Like how they can be, I mean, really homophobic, but then watch Ellen and then watch RuPaul and watch Will and Grace and all that stuff, and then somehow still create anxiety for your kids to grow up in the house.
Yeah, 'cause I feel like it's like fine when it's over there.
Yeah. It's not going to happen to me.
Yeah, when it's like over there.
Yeah.
When it's this like caricature, whatever. Like we can laugh about it and hee hee hoo ha, but then when it's actually like in your face, that it's a problem.
Yeah. Did you watch Schitt's Creek?
I love Schitt's Creek.
Okay.
Do you watch it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yes.
remember because like when it blew up in the pandemic, and then I went back to work, and everybody had watched it, and everyone was always like, "Oh my God, you're such a David,"
Oh.
and I'm like. Yes, because he's the gay one.
Yeah.
Like is that all you see? Like that's all you see. That's all you know. Like I'm walking up in here with my flannel shirt and my jeans on.
Yeah.
And you're gonna tell me that I'm a David?
Yeah.
Like that's not.
Not even wearing any black or white.
No, like it's not even close.
Yeah.
I'm not like, especially back then. Like I was not a fashion girly.
Yeah.
I was not like. I still am like nothing like David at all.
No, not at
but
all.
it's just like he's the flamboyant gay one, so like that's who you are too.
It's kind of going back to when you're around, like when I was around those straight people, and the only thing they think of, like, did you watch
Drag Race?
Housewives? And I'm like,
Or Housewives,
yeah. I'm like, no, I do now, but like at that time, it was just like, no. Yeah, I don't know. That's another reason why I wish we had more gay shows, so we could expand the
Yes.
image of what gay is, especially when it comes to dating. Because well, you guys can chime in on this too, because we were talking about, there's this clip of Tom Holland, who's the one who plays Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he's getting butt
He's
fucked.
just getting railed.
Yes, and we were.
Everyone is mad.
Are they mad?
I think on Twitter, or I think like the homophobes.
Oh yeah. They don't want their Spider-Man to be
They're
gay.
like, they're like, not our Spider-Man.
Yes. And you were like, you didn't care for it, or like you just thought you see Tom more as a top. Which
Yes.
I do too. If Tom Holland was gay, I would see more as a top. But it goes to like why I want more gay representation is so the straight world can get out of this box of what is the top and what is the bottom.
Yes.
And honestly, truly just move past that question in general, because even in the gay world now, like I feel like in the gay world, we're trying to get rid of those titles. And if you, to be 100% honest, most of the people that you think are tops are probably bottom. There are a lot more bottoms out there than we will like for them to be.
Don't we know?
And so it's always interesting when you see like the big buff cigar leather gays who are like turning around with like butt plugs in their butts.
Yes.
And you're like, oh man, you thought that? Like The Rock. Like The Rock could probably be a giant pig bottom.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why I want more gay representation.
Yeah. Yeah, we need it. We need more. We just need more. We need more representation, and we need more, like, I don't know, just more like not white gay representation too. Like, I feel like people still are like patting themselves on the back when they get a white gay in the room, and it's like, we're not special anymore. Like, we're everywhere. We don't need we don't need representation anymore, in my opinion. Like,
Honestly, half the time we're the problem.
yes,
Like, white gays
yes.
can be
Yeah, very
Some of the
problematic.
most racist, homophobic, terrible people. Yeah. So it would be great to see more.
Chris, are you cold? You can turn it off.
I'm good.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Any other shows?
I'm trying to think.
Do you have any fear of how Big Brother's going to be and Survivor's going to be with this writer strike? Do you think they're going to cancel? That's another thing about this writer strike that I don't know, because people are saying we're not going to get like new stuff until 2025, and I feel like that's a very long time for a TV show to be paused and then once again come back.
Yeah.
Do you think if they do come back, they're going to have to fix the format? Do you think if they do come back, they're microaggressions are still going to be floating in the show.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Big Brother is so tricky because like I feel like anybody nowadays, like the people who watch the feeds will latch on to anything that is said. And like I think that I'm a pretty kind, progressive person, but I feel like even I might get canceled if I went on Big Brother. Somehow, some way I would do something that they would see as some sort of problem. And I don't know. I think that makes it hard for a lot of people to want to go on the show. Um, but I think it's just because the Canada version, they stopped live feeds altogether.
Is the live feed where you get the most microaggressions?
That's where I mean, because you're watching them 24 hours a day, and
So
that's
when-
where
what
they
you
pull
see
the
on
clips
TV,
and stuff.
It's more edited.
Yes, yeah. What you see on TV is an edited down version of sometimes 2 to 3 days. So, like the live feeds is usually where you see like the juicy clips of like the big long fights and the nasty, mean microaggressions and racism and sexism and stuff. So Canadian Big Brother did away with the live feeds totally. I don't think that US will do that, but I just think with the type of people that they cast, it'll keep happening. And sometimes I wonder too, like if their ratings aren't being affected, are they going to continue looking for people like that make microaggressions and are sometimes macroaggressions and like if it's what people are talking about online, like they're talking about Big Brother online, and I think from a corporate point of view, like that's not always a bad thing. I think sometimes where they get in trouble is like when that person wins the show. But I think that with their like diversity initiative where like half the cast has to be people of color, which like is a whole other conversation.
Do you like that half the cast has to be a certain part? I'm torn about that. I'm torn because I just don't want there to be a rule. I don't know.
It sucks that they have to be told, right? Like it would be like the pie in the sky would be that like they're just casting interesting people and part of interesting people is just that they have diverse backgrounds. I think my big eye rolly thing is that especially with Big Brother is they were told you have to cast 50% people of color, and so they're like their version of people of color is like only black people, and so then there's like no Latin representation, there's no like Asian representation, they're just like we'll cast 8 black people and 1 Mexican and the rest will be white. And so it's like it's almost offensive. Like it's like there is more to diversity than that.
I agree. Even as a black person, I feel I don't know if guilty is the right word, but I'm like I just like you said, whenever there needs to be a diversity quote, it's always the black card, which there is a privilege to that, but at the same time, like you said, if you have 8 seats, it's the word is just diverse. It's not black. It's just diverse and people of color. So that means it can be anyone but white. Really, truly. And then they do fill the seats with majority of just black people, and then like maybe one other. And as a black person, like I wish we really expand what we mean when we say diversity. It can be like all shapes and sizes and all like sexualities as well, and sexualities come in different colors as well. So like showing that too, I like. And I have that in the back of my mind too, because I feel like in the modern day time, we're making more of an effort to say that we're having diversity. But when I'm watching like the Real World, the old seasons, or like the old season of the Challenge, like there were always black people there, or Hispanic people there, or biracial people there, gay people there, gay black people there. Like right now I'm watching Battle of the Exes too, so everyone's in couples, and it's like, oh, there's an interracial couple. There is a black couple. There is, Jordan's missing a hand couple. And so I'm like, we are really diverse. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's like, where did it come from that we have to make it a statement when you look back? Like, you can look back at American Next Top Model. We're talking about Ava versus Yaya, and that was like season 3 or whatever. So
well, and I think that's something with the Real World that I feel like they truly went into it trying to cast interesting, dynamic people, and because they were doing that, they just automatically kind of fell into this like range of diverse stories, whereas like this diversity initiative, at least with Big Brother, like truly feels like we are casting color and that's it. And like we're still typecasting personalities and we're still typecasting look, but like instead of the like himbo white boy, it's gonna be the himbo black boy, and he's still gonna be boring, and he's still probably gonna be problematic, and he's not gonna be that special. He's just gonna have a different skin color, and they're gonna wipe their hands and say they did a good job, and it doesn't make for an interesting television show.
Maybe, I mean, I'm not on the strike, but hopefully we can throw that into the strike as well. I know a lot of people on the strike is worrying about pay, but like maybe we can throw like, when we say diversity, we mean like everybody.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes,
like,
we mean like different types of people.
Yes,
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I'm very interested to see what happens after the strike. Very interested to see how long it goes. I don't know what it means to not have new TV every fall. I don't know. I mean, TikTok right now is going through, like, because now you have those TikTokers who made an entire platform off of reviewing movies and TV shows. And people are calling them scabs. Like, you fucking scab. You dirty little cunty bloody scab, you. And people are like, it's just, I don't know. You just, What a time to be. I feel like since 2020, we cannot catch a break.
No, there is no breath.
Cannot catch a break. And I made a post the other day because I went to Target, and Target is setting up their back to school like stuff, and I'm like, we haven't even made it through July yet.
We just went to Joanne this morning, and they had Halloween out.
Halloween.
Yeah, and the Halloween is on sale.
Gosh.
Which, I mean, everything at Joanne's.
I wish I would put their holidays in our face. I'm just trying to go to Joanne's to get some glitter.
Yeah, it's like, baby, I'm not trying to buy pumpkins.
I'm not trying to get pumpkins. Like, not trying to get
it is
pencils.
July.
But
yeah.
Well, well, thank you for coming on. I feel like we've talked about our TV and shared a lot of opinions. And
yes, it's fun.
Great. And thank you for being my Wendy
first
Williams
audience member.
Yes. Great. Well, thank you. I had a blast.
Of course. Yeah, I had fun too.
Nice.